Boys of Reddit, what happened when you got caught staring at a girl's butt by the girl? I just winked and she rolled her eyes. We got married 5 years ago. I was staring off into the space her ass occupied for about 10 minutes before she got there. She thought I'd been looking at her, when in reality I'd been thinking about my next D&D character, slapped me, and asked me I was looking at her ass so intensely. I told her, listen, lady, I've been trying to think of a character for my next D&D session for the past 10 minutes, and you're totally fucking up my train of thought. I have no idea why, but she thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. Then she said, I'm glad my ass is good inspiration for you. We've been best friends for about 2 years now and our ongoing joke is my character died, I need your ass for inspiration for a new one. And that's how I get nudes. Not butt. Boobies. I tried not to. Her friend caught me, and hooked me up later. Some girls are good wingmen. Or wingwoman. Wing people? The best moment of my adolescence was when my 7th grade math teacher Mr. Dempsey saw me looking at a girl's butt, and when I looked away from her I made eye contact with Mr. Dempsey for a split second and he winked at me, causing me to burst out laughing until I cried. It was totally worth looking like an idiot for. One time got caught staring at a hot teacher and she just smiled at me when I was caught. She pulled me aside after class and said it's rude to stare but she was flattered. Told me to take a picture cause it would last longer. That was 10 years ago and I still have her booty framed in my living room. I asked her if I could eat Cheerios out of her butthole. She declined. I shrugged my shoulders like, hey, what can you do? It is what it is. I'm a man, I see a nice ass, I look. It's built in. Definitely not the normal response, but I was at the grocery store and there was this woman, now known as Kate, in the frozen aisle. She was wearing tight yoga pants, I guess they are usually tight, and I just couldn't help myself because she really stood out. I literally said out loud Jesus as I was walking up the aisle from behind. She caught my glance. She turns and looks at me the entire time I'm walking by, but instead of a death glare it was more like hey I like it type of look. Ever see that gif with the guy pulling the girl's hair on the bleachers and turns around? Yeah, like that. It really caught me off guard and honestly I was too much of a pussy in the moment so I pretended it wasn't a reaction to her and kept walking. I do some more shopping, walk to my car, and there's a note on my car windshield with a number, no Jesus here. How she knew it was my car, I don't know. Anyway, I ended up calling the next day, have to give it a little time, and let's just say it's been a lot of fun. I just owned it and said, sorry. But, wow. She laughed and that was it. No date, no number, no marriage. Girls are smart. Good-looking girls figures it out from early age that people loves to stare at them. If they catches you, a person like you have two options. Either you pretend you are looking at something else and move your head super fast. Which if you look from their point of view, makes you look like a creep. Or you can own up to it and give them a smile or nod. Since most girls can tell you are creeping on them, they most likely appreciate someone brave who can look them directly in the eye and own up to it. If you're good looking, she'll blush. If you're good looking, she'll scream. She said, don't just stare at it, eat it. I think she'd watched too many movies. I spaced out during class after pulling an all-nighter and was kinda falling asleep, when the chair I was staring at was occupied by this cute girl. She noticed me staring at her ass and was obviously angry, but since I was running on coffee and cigarettes, she thought I was high and told me to get help for my imaginary weed problem. We kept talking and smoking cigs together after class from time to time. We're still friends and, yes, I've stared at her ass sometimes. She exploded. This. I'm a boy and actually catch girls looking at mine. And at the last party I went to I got paddled 3 times. Why? She asked me if I was staring at her ass and I told her that I was. Then she asked what I thought, I said it brightened my day. Looking back, I probably should have asked for her number. I had to tell her flies were landing on her butt crack. We laughed about it and then she said you can look but you can't touch. At school, the girl I had a crush on saw me and blew a kiss at me. Naturally I quickly looked away and pretended to be doing something else. I zoned out, sorry, I didn't realize. She slipped off her shorts and said, you'll like, brother? Look at another one's ass. She asked me if I wanted to go to a movie later that night. When we did, it was so damn awkward. I once needed to put a folder away but a girl I'm friends with was standing right where I needed to put it, with her fat ass right there. I started slapping her ass with the folder and couldn't help but look, and she turned around and punched me saying something like that would have been fine if you hadn't been looking. I bumped into the post in the middle of the hallway. Back in high school, A girl was holding her notebook just under her breasts, and I was trying to see what band logos she had drawn. She raised the notebook to cover her chest, but it wasn't until I made eye contact that I realized she thought I was ogling her. Whoops. I knew her BF, not friends, but it was a small school. He was pretty pissed and wanted to fight. We fought. It hurt. She grabbed mine, seemed fair. I'm always just generally looking forward in the distance.